Good evening, everyone. Glad to see you all once again. Coach Crow and Joey Blaze live tonight from our normal locations. Coach Crow, how are you this evening?
I am well. I am well. What's going on, Joey? What's going on?
I'll tell
Another
you, man.
Thursday. Show number
Happy
two.
birthday.
Show number two. Friday Eve. Um, Shout out to those good people at Spin Move 360. They posted a video earlier today, so we kind of impromptu put that video on. Couldn't let it go by without getting that video on. Those guys do great work, and if you're in that New York area or anywhere, I think they open it up to anybody. If you want your game of the week, your schedule kind of shown on that presentation right there. Get with Spin Move 360. You can look them up on Facebook. Real easy to find. Direct message them, send them your flyers, send them your videos, send them your highlights, and they're gonna do something special with it. So Spin Move 360, we appreciate that. And with your blessing, we'll get that on here every week. Our show is on Thursday, you drop it on Thursday. So we'll get that on here every week if you do it every week. So shout out to them. Another week is what gone by, Joey. What's up?
Hey, man, let me just tell you, the clocks have finally gone back to normal. We have longer days. It means only one thing: more sunlight to play football anywhere we want to play without having to pay those extra light fees, those pesky light fees.
Those pesky light fees. Now, you had a busy weekend yourself. You was out there doing a bunch of flag stuff this past weekend. How'd that go for you?
Really well. We were over in Baltimore for a preseason get-together was the whole plan. Some big games, Misfits and Blackhawks, Battle of League champions, the Washington County Flag Football League champion Misfits, and the Mid-Atlantic Flag Football League champion Blackhawks. Very competitive game. In fact, one of your players, Jonathan Mensah, Jay Black, plays for the Misfits right now. He was there on Sunday, balling out.
Oh, good. It's good. It's football everywhere, Like I said, we covered semi-pro, but if it's football to be played, we're going to talk about it.
Exactly. Especially with the NFL free agency season finally starting up.
Well, my goodness. Well, that's a conversation onto its own. I hadn't seen some moves that I thought are pretty good so far. The New England Patriots are just burning up free agency right now. They picked up the 2 tight ends, and then they picked up Nelson Aguilar, and then and they re-signed Cam. So and they also picked up, I think, Judon from the Ravens. So those guys are New England is more active in free agency than I've seen in the last 10, 12 years. I think they're biggest free agent signing since they picked up Randy Moss all those many years ago. So they're doing a lot of free agency. I like where they're going, and I think they want to give Cam a fair opportunity to take them to the playoffs.
You can't sleep on Belichick, man. You just can't give up on him yet. I had a status I posted shortly after my LA Rams lost to the Patriots the second time in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
About all the players and coaches he's beaten. You got to look at it. Joe Walsh or Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. Sorry, I knew a Joe Walsh back in the day. Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. He's beaten Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills back when they had Marv as the head coach way back.
Marv Levy.
Yep. 4 Super Bowls in a row, man.
See, we got all kinds of stuff going on in free agency. The news about Deshaun Watson was really sex abuse or sex allegations, is legal contact, some type of sex allegations. I don't ever want to blame the victim because there's no, victims need to be heard and their assaultants need to be put in jail. But this is just the timing on this is kind of weird. I feel like they're trying to kind of ruin him in Houston, so he's not tradable. I mean, I just feel like they're trying to do something to this man because he won't play for him. And I don't know. It's not sitting right, these allegations all of a sudden against Deshaun Watson. What do you think?
I'm not going to say one way or the other, man. That's the thing about it. It's a situation where it's between Deshaun and his accusers. If it happened on his end, it's a shame.
Yeah.
If it didn't happen, and these are all false allegations, that's a bigger shame.
Bro, yeah. And like I said, it's just the timing. Sometimes things happen and people do things and they need to repent for what they've done wrong. But this man's been trying to get out of Houston for a while. And it doesn't seem like they want to let him out of Houston. And since he won't play, it just seems like maybe there's a little, something going on here. Now, again, if he did do something wrong, he needs to pay for that and then get back on the right track. But, I mean, he's a hell of a generational talent. And
Exactly. I agree about that.
And whatever the case may be, either he needs to be out of Houston. And that's just further let you know that he just needs to be out of Houston and needs to be in a better surrounding. So we're going to pray for Deshaun Watson. We're going to pray for those allegations, and hopefully they're not true. And if they are, we'll pray for those victims. And let's try to get something positive in the end with this situation here. But it's definitely something to keep your eye on. In other free agent news, our favorite quarterback, and it's the world's favorite quarterback, it's Magic to the Washington football team.
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think, Joey, about Fitzmagic to the Washington football team? Was it a good pickup for Washington?
It depends on which one they're going to get, man. They're going to get the Fitz that's going to go out there and lead the way and win you a couple games, or they're going to get the downturn one. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago at Tampa Bay, he had that really hot start in the season, and then in week 4, he ran into a Steeler team that wasn't very good, and it was a home game on top of it, and they lost that game, and it wasn't a good performance. And after that, he was never the same. But then you saw Miami; he was better than Tua was at times last season.
Yes, he was.
And you got to start wondering, like, for both ends, what this means. Like for the football team, what you're looking at is another veteran to bring in that's been around the block. It's hard. I don't think Alex Smith really had anything left, and I don't.
He did enough.
Yeah,
he did enough.
He tried. Like it's for a guy who went through what he went through, he did well. And it's a shame about all the injuries, but injuries, age, it all catches up to you. And it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, for Washington, it's a nice little new start. They have some momentum from last season. There's a lot of positivity around Ron Rivera and company down in DC. And that's something that I get more of a better vibe from him and his staff than what you saw with Gruden or Shanahan.
Yeah. Well, Gruden was just not a good coach to me. He's just not a good coach to me, period. I think he had a spark at one point, but I think it was kind of facade. He was kind of living off the Gruden name per se. So we got 3 minutes left on this subject. Last thing. I said, $140 million to what's the guy from New Orleans? Wow, his name just lost me. Back up to Drew Brees. Wow, this is old age, people, kicking in right before your eyes. I got his name.
Drew Brees' backup wasn't Taysom. Wait.
Taysom Hill. Thank you.
Hill, really?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just saw old age right before your eyes, people. Old age kicked in. I had the name and it was gone. $140 million to Taysom Hill on a voidable deal. That means they can void this deal at any time and get out this contract. But the fact of the matter is, it's still $140 million to Taysom Hill, even though he signed a contract extension last year. What do you think about this?
I'm looking at who gave him 140 mil?
I think New Orleans. They gave him 140 million.
140 mil. Okay. I was making sure. Okay, I had to reread the article. Okay. See, this is news to me. I've been a little behind the last couple of days. Been a busy time up in here.
Oh, you missed that.
Yeah, I missed that.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was looking it up because ESPN didn't have it listed on the current headlines, and I was like, I saw Hill. I saw Hill to the Browns is what I saw. I clicked it. It was Troy Hill.
No. Taysom. Now the starting quarterback in New Orleans, $140 million It's a voidable deal, though. I mean,
Oh yeah, if it's voidable, then I'll tell you as a Rams fan, first and foremost, we just give out deals to anybody, and as soon as it doesn't work out, we just say,
get out of here, get out of here,
get out of here, you're going. Everything, the money, take it. We don't want you. Jared Goff will banish you to Detroit. Michael Brockers will send you there too.
Right. So
we do.
Is he worth $140 million? Has he done enough for $140 million?
No. It's a bad
contract.
I've seen there's potential. There's a lot of potential there.
Well, I think that's why they made it voidable, just in case it is a bad contract.
Oh yeah, if it's voidable, I'm not worried from a GM standpoint, because if it's voidable, then that favors the team who owns it. Because in that case, the team can say at any point in time they feel like it's not going to work out. All right, cut our losses, move on.
Right. Trade bait.
Taysom Hill, he doesn't have that luxury.
Right.
If he makes a mistake, if he plays bad, he's going to lose that job fast. And then you got a talent who was in a system where he played a certain style in a certain way when he was in, but then he really learned to develop himself as an NFL QB, which, the NFL quarterback position, it's really evolved the last several years. You remember a time period where they're making all the quarterbacks, the big 6'5", 6'6", fast types come out like Vince Young and put him in a pro style Jeff Fisher offense out of college, and they thought that would develop their skill set.
It didn't. Kind of set them back a bit. So real quick, all right, so NFL, let's real quick take 2 minutes and cover March Madness. There's only one undefeated team this year I'm looking at, and that's Gonzaga. The field is kind of weird this year. A couple teams you expect to be in that top, 16, 20 teams that could possibly win it are not there this year. You got a Baylor who's I think number 3 this year. You got Michigan State in the top. Oh no, Michigan, not Michigan State, but Michigan in the top 8. March Madness is really about to be madness. Your take on where these teams are at, and again, Gonzaga, the number 1 team in the country right now. Do they have enough to take the NCAA tournament and ultimately become the NCAA champion?
Let me just put it like this when it comes to this tournament. Like all other playoffs, postseasons this year in the COVID bubble, it could go either way. It could go anywhere. These teams did play some form of out-of-conference games at some point, but not a lot of them got the ability to due to the fact of COVID canceling games getting moved, and all that. And so you have a lot of teams who haven't really seen many teams outside of their conference or even region, because, a lot of times out of conference games, unless it's a tournament, they try not to go too far out because of travel costs. So now they're going out. This is the first real competitive bump they're going to actually get. Because, I often said the regular season is a long chess game.
Yes, it is.
You don't want to give too much during the season, but you don't want to give too little either. You got to be slow and steady with it and smart, because if you give up too much early on, as my face is really covered up now, these backgrounds don't work very well. That's why the jersey's hanging back there. But when it comes to early on, it's going to be interesting to see who can come out and win. I think they'll get past their first opponent. I don't see Norfolk or it looks like Apps. Is that Appalachian State?
Probably. They usually grab something. But yeah, I mean,
I think they're playing today. Actually, the first 4 is going on right now.
Right.
That is App State. They're playing Norfolk State, 8:40 True TV. We have a final already. Texas Southern over Mount St. Mary's. Wichita State's up on Drake, and NC State leads Davidson. That's the NIT. Sorry,
that's NIT.
NIT score in there. That's what threw me off. They have
I mean, and then you look at this top 8: Gonzaga, Illinois, Baylor, Michigan, Alabama, Houston, Ohio State, and Iowa. Is this football or basketball? But these teams in the top 8, it's not what we're used to seeing. Where's the Duke? Where's North Carolina? Where's Kentucky? Where's Kansas? Where's Louisville? The top 8 is just It's unbelievable. Even if you go down to the top 16, down you get Kansas at number 12. Right? Like, so, I mean, you got this NCAA tournament is pure madness. We don't have the usual suspects as the top front runners.
See, here's the thing, though. You mentioned those teams. You mentioned North Carolina. You mentioned Kansas. Their coaches and staff have been around so long now. I don't think they're as worried about the regular season as they used to be because they know what matters the most. They know that they've coached all season to get their team to this point. While
Right.
they may not be top teams, at the end of the day, once these games are played out, a lot of those seeds don't reflect how it really goes. Remember when Virginia was the number 1 team in the country and lost?
I think it was in the second round. It was the first round or second round?
First round. I actually was supposed to go to that game, and I turned down an invitation.
That was like a boxing match. You turned the head, it was over.
It was unbelievable, bro. I couldn't believe that happened the way it did. UMBC went down there and gave it to the Cavaliers in that tournament. That wasn't even a win. That was a 20-point beatdown.
Beatdown, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
All right, so we covered NFL. We covered some March Madness. You guys see the games to come in semi-pro. Brought to you by Spin Move 360. Let's talk about some real quick some scores before we bring our guest on. Let's talk about some scores from last week. We got some scores in the semi-pro football that I just wasn't expecting, and so I'm gonna go through a few, obviously, but I want to anchor on a couple. You right, and we're going to talk about them. And the first one I'm gonna give you guys, and we're gonna anchor on it real quick, Joey.
I'm trying to zoom in on this.
Oh, you got it. Okay. The first one we're going to anchor on.
I'm not going to go any further.
No, that's good. I think everybody can see it. The first one we're going to anchor on is the Baltimore Lightning versus the Virginia Saints. And the Baltimore Lightning are now 3-1 after, I think, only winning 2 or 3 games last year, just in 2020, a few months ago.
Yeah.
Their turnaround has been epic. They've already done better than what they did all of last year and this first month, the 2021 spring season. We talked about it a bit last week, but what do you think about what's going on with the Lightning squad? Do they actually have an opportunity to really put their mark on this game?
They definitely have the opportunity, man. New year, new game. That's how it goes. Like 2020's out the window. The age of COVID is moving past us. We are all going back out again. We are all playing again. Everything has changed. Like we talked about how different the game was of COVID last year. Now with COVID being kind of less of an issue to some people, because guys will want to come back at this point, and I think a lot more players will come back to play. Right. I think that changes this game altogether because now everybody, once again, is an entirely new team from where they were a few months ago, even back in fall season. But you know what? That's with every season. Every team is different every season, and even every single week, even every quarter. You got to go through the mindset of a game, Crow. You yourself can vouch that your mindset in the first quarter is never what it was when you hit the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's in the midst of battle.
Yes, exactly. How the game goes and how it shifts is how you coach it. So, exactly. Let's dive into another score here that kind of caught my eye from this past weekend. We're gonna go all the way down to the FFA scores, and we're gonna look at the South Florida Gladiators versus the West Coast Soldiers, and that was a high-scoring affair, 34-30. Now, the Southwest Florida, I think Tampa Bay, if I'm not mistaken, Gladiators are one of the best teams in spring football when it comes to semi-pro. They've been to multiple national tournaments, won some games, lost some games, but every year they're tops in that FFA. And that FFA also has the Magic City Bulls, who are also a top spring team in the country. With those teams both being undefeated, winning every week, in that FFA. Is it a shoo-in that you think maybe those teams will meet in the championship, or what's your feeling about those two powerhouses being in the same league, both undefeated?
I believe we're in for a collision course. Are they scheduled to face each other?
I don't think so in the regular season. I don't think so.
No chance in the regular season.
I don't think so. I didn't see it on the schedule, but I can check it later.
Okay. But like, when you got two teams that are forces the way these two teams are right now, you have to think collision course. We have to get to this point. But if not, that's the thing though. Do they think, are they looking ahead? Are they looking at each other and trying to outdo the other one? But that's the thing. Because when you hear the speculation early on, when you start hearing the hype about you and another opponent in a big game, all of a sudden that focus of yours shifts a little bit.
And you can be upset.
Yeah.
And you can get that upset because you're thinking about that next opponent instead of the opponent you got right in front of you.
Exactly.
I seen that happen. It's a tricky slope. Now I got another game that really caught my eye. Really caught my eye. And because this is another spring powerhouse team. The Carolina Rebels beat the Fayetteville Commandos 48-22. Now we've seen these Fayetteville Commandos just dismantle teams the last 3-4 outings we've seen them. And for the Carolina Rebels to come back after being off of all of 2020 and do this to a hot, warmed up Fayetteville Commandos who's been playing. But again, we mentioned last week that their offense was a little sputtery, but we didn't see that with the defense. What does this mean for the Commandos, and are the Carolina Rebels really back to reclaim that throne that they had in 2019 as the best spring team in the country?
This is one of those games where after it's all said and done, you have to go back home and take a long look in the mirror and think about every single thing you did that got you to the point you are at now. And figure out, why did this happen? Because that's one of those losses where you can't just sit there and say, well, we took an L. We're going to come back next week and we're going to win. You have to sit there, think about what just happened, and think of how are you going to do better this next game? How are you as an individual going to do better to try to help your team win? How are you as a team going to gel better to win? And, if you talk about coming back to reclaim that throne, that's a statement to make. That was a statement win.
With
that's
48
one of those
points.
Wins where you can't sit there and just shrug it off. If you are the Commandos, have to sit back and reevaluate what you're doing.
So I'm not going to go over all the scores in the APDFL, but it seemed like defense was a little optional this week in the APDFL. The Horsemen, who've been up and down all year, got their stride last week. They beat the Orlando Phantom 56-32. That was a shootout. If I've never seen a shootout before in my life, they were not playing defense in that game. And then the East Alabama Predators beat the Crescent City Rampage 43-12. And there's a whole bunch of lists. There's so much scoring in the APDFL this week. I think they're in week 4 or week 5. I can't remember which week they're in. Is that a testament to what you said last week? As we get later on in these seasons, the scores are going to rise. Is that what you were talking about?
Exactly, man. Like I said, it's a week-to-week process. You start gelling as time goes on offensively, you're going to start putting up the points. And that's the thing about it. Defenses, while they have film on a lot of offenses early on, those week 1 or 2 or 3 games can be very misleading later on in the season. You got to be careful what film you're watching, because you might go back and see film of them doing bad and think, well, this is going to be easy. And then they come out with a few tricks up their sleeve. They figured something out in between games. They practiced something during the week that worked really well. They're going to use it on Sunday or Saturday. You got to always expect something out of a team when they start struggling early, because that's the thing. Offenses, you can say, like, sometimes I've seen it before where there's the opposite effect can happen too, where defenses adjust over time in the season.
Right.
But it's all about what you do to make your adjustments, what you do to implement your strategy, and what you do to execute it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So that's the scores for the week. You know, like I said, hope everybody seen their team up there. And if you want to see your score on the show or post it, hey, make sure you get your scores into Sunshine Bowl via the email or the Facebook page. Get them in. We'll get them on this list. You know, granted, we won't show every score every week, but we're going to do the best we can to represent you in your league. Give them to us by noon, by 12. And like I said, we'll get the guys on it. They'll make the flyer. We'll get you on there, and we'll talk about it, especially if it's an interesting game. So I think we're at the part of the show where we bring on our guests.
Yes.
I think we're at that part.
Let's go here.
And so the guests we're looking to bring on as soon as Joey sets it up is Miss Delzita Boyd of the Coastal Football Alliance. Okay, there you go. We got it. Hey, Del.
Hey, what's up?
What's happening? What's happening?
Nothing.
I appreciate you being on the show. I know you said you was a little nervous, but we're all family here.
Yeah.
No need to be nervous. No need to be nervous. Glad to have you. You know, we got a couple things that we're going to run through and give you an opportunity to say what's on your mind.
Yeah.
We might even play a little bit of a game where we run down your teams and tell me what you think about them. Quick,
okay.
2 minutes. And like I said, and we're going to have a good time with it.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's get it. All right. My first question for you. My first question for you.
Okay.
Being a woman in the game, right? This is a male-dominated sport. It's not a lot of women running leagues and running teams. You happen to be the commissioner of the CFA, and you're running quite well. What is it like being your position and being a woman? And what are some of the things you got to deal with and some of the things you've learned and advantages and disadvantages?
Well, becoming or being a commissioner can be rough sometimes, but I never came into this position asking for special treatment. I've just come to learn that being myself, being honest, being fair, and especially being consistent has helped me throughout the process. I became deputy commissioner back in 2018, July 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I just became commissioner this past, spring, after we ended up having to cancel last spring due to COVID. But I love it. I love working with all different personalities. Semi-pro isn't the only thing that I do. I also do youth football.
Okay.
Which I was doing actually before semi-pro.
Right.
Because my son plays. But, I love it. You just got to be consistent. I'm not the only woman out here doing football.
Mm-hmm.
Just this past fall, my owner from the Triad Outsiders, which is a woman, was our first championship winner, and she's a woman.
Yeah.
So
Marie, right?
Yeah, Miss Marie.
Miss Marie, yeah. Shouts out to Marie and her husband Tay, the people there.
And she's been doing big things way before I even came along. So, I'm really proud to have her. Okay.
Awesome. Great organization there, and they've been around a good while. So and we're happy to have you. There's a lot of powerful women out there doing great things for a game. I think the diversity is definitely needed. I talked to a Miss Pamela Mitchell from the TUFA. She runs that league down there, and there's a few other great women out here that are doing some great things to move along this game. So I appreciate you guys, and I know it's a challenge, and I know you guys got to be turned with fair. I know it, but you guys do it with grace and power and elegance, and I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it.
I try my best. I'm not perfect, but I always try my best.
Who is? We can't be perfect. No. I don't expect no perfection. Actually, you get the best things from imperfection. You learn lessons. Speaking of lessons learned, we were all on a nationals panel the other day, and you had a great suggestion. And why don't you talk about it? What you suggested and what came of it?
All right. So my biggest thing, being part of the Nationals committee, along with other league owners as well, I got tired of seeing players playing on 3-4 teams down in Nationals. I'm really big on rosters, even during my regular season. So, I suggested having the rule where players play for one team. I think it keeps the integrity within the sport. You don't see that in college or pro. It's just better. When we go down to Nationals, you're going down there for your team. It's not Team North Carolina. It ain't Team Georgia. You're going down there to play for your teams.
Right.
So yeah, I suggested it. So anybody out there that's upset with me about it, blame it on me, or I don't care. But I'm really big about that. I'm really big about rosters. I will be submitting my rosters to you all immediately once it's locked. Nationals now requires, you can only add 5 players up there. So now when teams want to add 5 players, they will have to go through you guys.
Right.
It will be a process.
I think it was a wonderful suggestion. We probably should have did it a few years ago. But again, that's why we get the best people, the best minds like yourself and others, and we work together on things. So, I think it was an awesome suggestion. I think that's why we voted on it unanimously to implement it and implement it immediately. I think we had the meeting on Monday and it was in on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
thank goodness for the support from the other league owners too, because it just wasn't me making the rule up and you guys just going with it. It was a vote.
Yep.
And everybody supported it.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, right? Us all working together. I know a lot of folks are clamoring for the super leagues again, and it may be something that may happen, it may not happen, but at the end of the day, if we're not going to have the super leagues, how about we work together, bring the best football? And I think that's where we're at, and I think we got a lot of folks joining in that cause, in that fight, and and as long as we're on the same foundation, I think it's going to be great. Speaking of foundation, you, ma'am, have been looking to expand.
Oh, yeah.
From the North Carolina and looking to do some great things in your region. Talk about some of the CFA plans in the near future.
All right. So CFA fall is coming up. We kick off first week of August. We will have Georgia teams. I will say one of the teams is the Savannah Falcons. We are also building 2022 spring as I speak, actually. We do have a brand new team, the Northeast Georgia Wolverines. Owner is Ty Barnes. Really excited to finally have Ty as an owner in our league. He's a great owner.
And he's the owner of the Horsemen, right?
Yeah, Atlanta Horsemen. So the Atlanta Horsemen will remain in the APDFL.
Yep.
So he will have 2 separate staffs, 2 separate teams. Ty has a great following. He's a great person. So I'm really excited to have him and more Georgia teams also. So the goal is to expand into Georgia territory. I now live in Georgia. I've been here for about 2 years now. And I'm loving what I'm seeing down here. There's a lot of competition here in Georgia. And there's not, I don't even know of another fall league down here. And nope.
Don't know. You might be cornered. You might corner the market real quick.
Yep. That's the plan.
Awesome. So with these expanded plans, and really looking to put the league on another level, what are some of the things that you're going to be looking to update and change within your current structure to accommodate those additional teams and additional territories?
All right. So a lot of things will be changing. So I will be adding more staff, which I have done this past spring. I now have a deputy commissioner in the spring and an assistant deputy commissioner. I am looking to hire more staff. As far as staff is concerned, it will be me so far, along with other people helping me in the background. Stats will be a major thing this season. I'm looking to apply more things. I don't want to say it yet and then scare people off. Because North Carolina needs some upgrading.
Right.
It's been real mediocre for the past few years. I want to add more on. I am in the works of, I don't want to say that either yet, but I'm trying to get, I don't want to say too much yet.
Right.
But I'm cooking some stuff up though.
That's it.
Some really big stuff.
Right. Cooking some stuff up. I know Bernard was talking about doing a spring tournament.
Yep.
And a couple of other owners from across the country are talking about doing regional tournaments and things like that. What is your thoughts on regional tournaments and how much are you going to participate? Not your teams. You are going to participate in regional tournaments.
So I personally will not be doing a regional tournament, but I support.
Okay.
I support Bernard. I support Chuck doing, regional tournaments. I think it's healthy and important for our teams to play outside of our states and comfort zones. I feel like if North Carolina does only a North Carolina tournament, then we're just boxing ourselves in. So I do encourage our teams to start playing outside of our state.
Right.
It's getting really boring seeing teams play against each other year after year. So, these tournaments do help these teams going into nationals.
Right. Definitely.
Add to your resume.
Yeah, it's all about your resume. My thought process is the closer you get to 15 with no losses in a league championship, the better off your chances are of capturing your ultimate goal. So, that's how I kind of govern all my teams. We try to get as close to 15 games played as possible. Does it happen every year? No. Sometimes, you can't get games sometimes. So this is an impromptu question. Speaking of get games, what is your thought process on preseason and postseason games outside of a tournament where the call out? What is your impression on the call out? I'm calling you out. When should you take a call out, and when should you back off from a call out? This is impromptu.
All right, so it makes sense to do preseason real games against teams, like I said, outside of your state, in my opinion. I think doing too many preseason games can also hurt you.
What's a good number?
I would say it depends on when you're actually starting your practicing and your tryouts and stuff.
Right.
I would say if you're practicing 6 months prior to a season, I'd say about 2-3 games. You don't want to do it too much though.
Right.
I do know that these players have that, we're losing preseason. Let me hurry up and jump to another team.
Right.
We got a lot of jumpers out here. I've seen teams fold preseason because they're getting their asses beat, excuse me my language, preseason.
Right.
So, be smart about it, be strategic about it. Travel outside of your state, make it count if you decide to do preseason games.
And then how about the call out?
Like, you mean like what kind of call outs? What you mean?
So, for example, a team, the DMV Legends, called out everybody. They called out everybody and limited responses. What do you feel about the call outs? Should they be done, or should they be taken serious, or should it all be structured, like with a regional?
It should definitely be structured. You want to make it count. You don't just want to, I guess all real preseason games do count technically when you're talking about nationals. As far as when the DMV Legends made that call out, nobody responded, but everybody wanted to respond when, they decided to play another team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, if it makes sense, then yeah, of course, play it. If I had been a team owner out there and the DMV Legends had, an opening spot for a game, I would have took it.
Right. Yeah. Some call outs are better than others. Sometimes you got to take them.
It depends on who's doing
it. Yeah. Sometimes you take them. Sometimes it's not worth your time. I mean, each owner, each individual team and area is different. some games are just not, you're not going to take, and some games, you can't wait to play. I think the biggest thing when it comes to the call outs is what upsets me about the call out is when folks want to call you out after the season is over, after you done played that last game. Nationals is done. You're done. You're hanging it up. You tell everybody you're done. Hey, we'll play you next week. We're in Miami. We're done. That's it. That's all we're doing, people. So I think for me is one of those things. Like if you're gonna call somebody out, that's all well and fine. That's part of the game. But make sure you call them out when they can actually play, right?
Yeah.
Don't do the call out when they're in the middle, or they're about to wrap it up, or they're in the middle of the game.
Some people do that on purpose.
Right. Well, we called you out, you didn't accept. Well, we're in the middle of our playoffs. We're not going to play you over the playoffs. So, that's my thing on a call out. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think, it makes the game exciting. You talk a little trash. And then hopefully eventually you get the game played. But yeah, let's do the call out when it can actually be played.
Yeah.
All right. So you get 2 minutes here. We're gonna play this game here. I'm gonna give you your team name, and you tell me who they are or how you feel about them. What's your first thoughts about this team?
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Quick draw. Here we go. Fayetteville Ducks.
Fayetteville Ducks. Owner is Walter Ford.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Ducks. They've been here since 2018. Actually, my first year with the CFA. They're actually a very good team. They are ranked my number 3 team in the league. Very competitive. A lot of people, I don't want to say my predictions for our championship game because it's way too early in the season,
right.
But a lot of people have them predicted to go to the championship game. So,
okay.
And it's very possible.
Very possible. Okay. South Carolina Kings.
South Carolina Kings is a semi-new team from St. Stephen's, South Carolina. Now, they did not fully finish their fall season. Unfortunately, our spring season, when they originally joined this past spring, was canceled.
Right.
So they're semi-new. They're still learning a whole lot.
All right, Carolina Bears.
Carolina Bears is my sleeper team. They actually just won against the Palmetto Hurricanes this past week.
Sneaky win there. Very sneaky win.
First week 1, I forgot what the final score was at. You actually spoke on it last week when they played against the Fayetteville Mandos.
Right.
Yeah, that was a really close game. I was not there to watch it, unfortunately. But they are a young team. Owner, we call him Simba. He's a great owner. I am looking forward to seeing. Now they may be, I know they'll be in playoffs. They might end up in the championship too, but we'll see.
We'll see. You just spoke on them. Let's talk about them. Palmetto Hurricanes.
Palmetto Hurricanes owner is Monty. I love Monty and the Palmetto Hurricanes. They've been around for a long time. They were the 2018 or 17 MDFL champions.
Yep. I think 18 was it?
I think it was 18. They beat the Virginia Crusaders.
Right.
Yep. Great team, great ownership. They are in Wagner, South Carolina. Love that team. I will be seeing them this pretty soon. They play probably the game against the Commandos and the Hurricanes.
Cool. Fayetteville Mandos.
Oh yeah, they've been around since I don't know when they were established, but they are one of our original CFA teams. We all know about the Mandos. They've been around for a while. They just won this past Sunshine Bowl against the what was it? The
Wildcats.
Wildcats, yes. And they just played the Rebels as well. So
they're playing a lot of football.
A lot of football.
Yeah. Goldsboro Jets. I have no clue who this is.
They were in the IAFL prior to me.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Owner is Bobby. They are from Goldsboro, North Carolina. I guess we'll see what happens with them this season.
Okay.
Great ownership.
Carolina Punishers.
Carolina Punishers, owned by Lenny. They are from Fayetteville, North Carolina as well. They were in the ACFA prior to me. But they were playing the ACFA fall, but they are now playing spring. So we'll see how that goes as well.
I wasn't even aware ACFA had a fall this year.
Or it might have been the AFA. I don't.
No, ACFA.
No, it was ACFA.
Yeah, I just wasn't. I mean, I knew they had a season, but it was just seemed I couldn't connect the dots on their season. So I gotta look into the ACFA a little bit more and see what they're really doing over there. And Columbus County Wranglers.
The Wranglers.
My bad.
So their first year was this past spring. Like I said, we canceled in spring. Well, their last spring game, I believe, was against the Rebels. I think it was like 50-0.
Oof.
Yeah, so they played this fall. They ended up ranking last, but one thing I can say is about the Wranglers, they don't fold, and they will play throughout the entire season. They never give up. Owner is Xavier Williams. Great ownership as well. We have a lot of great ownership in our league.
And that's what it sounds like. It's like you're really proud of that ownership.
I really am. I am.
Well, it makes it a whole lot easier to run the league when you got a great ownership group. That is vital. That's just key, because those guys help you keep it together. And they keep, and they make situations work for you. I think you got one more. I know you got two more teams. The Triad Assassins.
Yep, Triad Assassins. Owner is James Summers. They are from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They have been with the CFA since the CFA has started in 2017 or 2018 is when we actually kicked off this. Well, actually it was 2017. Triad Assassins' last biggest win was, because we ended up canceling spring. So they haven't hit the field. Well, no, actually they played this past fall.
Right.
Yep. They played this past fall in the CCFA, I believe.
CCFL?
No. It was SIFA. I'm sorry, SIFA.
SIFA, okay.
Yes, they played this past fall in SIFA. Don't know where they finished that at, but prior to that, the spring before last, their last biggest win was against the East Carolina Bulldogs, which was a very big win for them. They're a great team though. Okay. I really don't know how our season is gonna end.
Yeah, it seems like you got a bunch of great teams, good owners. It seems like you got two levels. You got the really good and you got the up-and-comers. Up-and-comers are the ones you got to worry about. I mean, like those Bears, the Carolina Bears, they got a sneaky win against a really good Hurricanes team. So that's one of those things where you just can never know. And that's good. The parity in the league is what keeps it fresh, keeps it exciting. So, yeah, I love it. So we went through your teams. Gave us a rundown. You get 2 minutes to say how you feel. What you got?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me on tonight. If you guys ever need me to come back, just let me know because I love to talk. I do want you guys to keep up with the CFA. Follow us on Facebook. Check out our website. We are having some really big updates on our website coming up. And it is www.cfacertified.com is our website link. I don't know what else to say other than I'm just excited about the whole year. I got a lot of surprises coming, and I want everybody to stay tuned. Follow us.
Awesome. Follow the CFA, www.cfacertified.com. Joey, you're back. Thank you, Dell. Talk to you soon.
All right.
And I appreciate you coming on. Meet me at the 50. All right. All right, Joey. Everybody clapping up for Delzy the boy. All right. So, Joey, what do you think? CFA looking good this year?
I'm excited.
Yeah. She got some good. She really has it in order and has some good football coming for us.
Do they have media? Do they have any media people down there? What's the situation for that?
Well, I'll get with her after and find out exactly what they got going on.
I'd like to see it. It's a big shout out. Anyone who wants highlights on here, submit it to us. We'll play it on the air.
Yes, we
Let's
will.
get the film out there, man. That's the biggest thing about it that makes this game grow is film, because you give it the exposure to not just the players, but the players' families, the players' friends,
Yep.
and people who don't know the game. This is how you grow semi-pro football. This is how you keep the pipeline growing. This is how you build interest. If you've done something great, if you got a classic game you want to play on air, let us know. We'll broadcast it for you. We will have you live on here at Meet Me at the 50 to show your clips and see what you can do on the field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's about. Like, this is our second show. So the format is growing, it's evolving. So we don't have any limits right now. So, get them on here, get them to us. We'll flip some things up, and hey, we'll get you on here, baby. Show the world. Now it's time for my rant. All right. So here we go. My rant today, it's about good ownership, and I'm glad Dell brought it up. Good ownership. Semi-pro used to be a game where it was hard to get into. You couldn't just walk up and say, hey, I want a team, because the ownership of the leagues wouldn't let you in. But unfortunately, in the last few years, we've come a nation of fourth place and worse actually gets medals. If you look at the Olympics, they award silver, bronze, and a gold medal. Now we're in an age where we're giving out fourth and fifth place and sixth place. And guess what? If you're not getting the medal, sometimes these guys, these owners feel like, hey, I'm just going to start a new league, or I'm just going to leave this league. I'm just going to do this. Guess what? That's not life. Not everybody's going to win in every moment. And instead of trying to get better, you run from the competition. I want to put a shout out to all the good owners out there, all the good owners who say, you know what? I didn't win this year, but I'm going to get better. I'm going to recruit. I'm going to get better coaches on my staff. I'm going to make sure my guys have what they need to be the best they can on the field. Because at the end of the day, it's semi-pro football. And in semi-pro football, most of the time, guys are paying for free, or they're paying a fee. They pay to play. So at the end of the day, good ownership is going to probably equal a better team, because these guys, even though they're paying to play, they feel appreciated by you. And guess what? When you bring in talent, talent brings in more talent. But it starts with that ownership. All right? Be a good owner. And players, stop playing for these bad owners. You know what you should have. You got to have a place to practice. You got to have footballs. You got to have uniforms. You got to travel. The owner has to make sure those things happen. Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to have team dues and team fees and stuff like that. But if every week that owner's in your pocket, then how is he owning your team? At the end of the day, he's just a good steward of the money. He's an administrative person. He's not your team owner. I'm not saying don't pull your weight. Absolutely pull your weight, because you're a grown man. But at some point, as an owner, you have to invest in your own product. How can you expect these young men to invest in your product and you won't invest in your product? What pisses me off every other week is when an owner says, I'm not paying for that. Then why are you the owner? Good ownership. Players, seek out the good owners and you'll find your championship. Seek out the good owners and you will get better at this game. Seek out good ownership and you will find the better coaches. Good ownership. I shout out and praise every owner that's a part of this game that's doing it the right way, that's investing in their own product. So then these guys feel better investing in it, right? You have to. Again, and now fellas, don't get this twisted. You have to pull your weight. If your team fees are $100, pay that $100. If your league fee is $25, pay that $25. But demand you get the things that they said you were going to get. Don't just pay them like I paid mine. That's it. No, demand what you should be getting. If the team owner says the league fee, the team dues are $150, he's going to get you 2 jerseys, 2 pair of pants, and we're going to travel. That's what you should be getting. Demand a budget. Hold these owners accountable, because what happens is when you start holding these guys accountable, these owners, guess what? The better owners are going to hold the league accountable, and you're going to get better leagues. Better leagues equals better play. So my rant today is better ownership. Let's be better. I'm an owner of a team myself. I'm going to try to keep getting better. Let's all get better together and make this game great. That's my rant.
100% agree, Coach Crow, all the way. Let's be better. Let's be great. I say it all the time in the sport I come from. I say it here. Be great, be better all the time.
All right. So with that said, you know what you can do? You got a problem with anything I said? You can meet me at the 50. Joey?
We'll see you at midfield.
All right, y'all. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining. See you next week, Thursday, 7:30. I need you on.
We'll be there. We'll be live.